All right, so get this. We're diving into the world of beauty and investments today.
Ooh, sounds interesting.
It is. It is. We're talking Ulta Beauty, those giant beauty stores.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
And Warren Buffett, the, investing legend.
Oh, yeah, I know him.
So earlier this year, Buffett's company, it's called Berkshire Hathaway, they bought a huge chunk of Ulta stock.
Okay.
But then, get this, just a quarter later, they sold almost all of it.
Really? That's kind of strange, isn't it? Especially for Buffett. He's not really known for doing that.
Exactly. That's what we're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
So we've got this article from the Motley Fool.
Oh, yeah, I know.
They're a financial services company, and they're kind of trying to make sense of it all. And honestly, so are we.
Right.
So to get started, why is this such a weird move for Buffett?
Well, Buffett is super famous for, his buy and hold strategy.
Right.
He usually invests in companies for, the long term. He doesn't do these quick in and out things.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's what makes this whole thing so interesting, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So the Motley Fool article, it points out that Ulta's been going through some tough times.
Okay.
Sales growth has been slowing down.
Yeah.
There's a ton more competition in the beauty world these days.
Yeah, that's true.
And their stock price...
Well, it's dipped. It's after that big pandemic boom, it seems like things are normalizing for a lot of companies.
Right, exactly.
Consumer spending habits, they're just not what they were a year or two ago.
The article actually says that the beauty industry overall, they're expecting sales growth to kind of settle back into the low to mid single digits.
Okay.
Like it was back in the 2010s.
So it's kind of like a reset is happening.
Yeah, like a reset.
A lot of businesses saw this surge in sales during, the pandemic and right after. And now they're just evening out, becoming more predictable.
Yeah.
And that's affecting companies like Ulta for sure.
Okay. That makes sense for the whole industry.
Right.
But going back to Buffett, why buy Ulta at all? Only to bail so quickly.
That's the question, isn't it?
Right. What was he thinking?
And the article doesn't really go into Buffett's actual reasons.
Oh, bummer.
But, I can maybe offer a few ideas.
Yeah. What do you think?
So it could be that Buffett, he saw something about Ulta's long-term prospects that just didn't sit right with him.
Okay.
Maybe he didn't think their plan to deal with these challenges was strong enough.
Interesting.
Or maybe he just spotted some kind of threat that wasn't obvious to everyone else.
Right, he has access to information that, I don't...
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so maybe he had some insider knowledge or something.
It's possible. Another possibility is that he just needed, he needed cash.
Okay.
For another investment. Sometimes these big investors, they have to shuffle things around, even if they like a company.
So maybe it wasn't about Ulta being bad, but more about Buffett needing to do something else with his money.
Yeah, exactly. It could be about his overall strategy,
Like a big game of chess.
Right, exactly. Always thinking a few steps ahead.
So we might never know exactly what he was thinking.
Probably not.
But we can still learn from it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a reminder, that even the best investors, they change their minds sometimes.
Yeah.
And it just shows, how important it is to do your own research before investing.
That's good advice. So the article, it does talk about Ulta's plan to deal with these challenges.
Okay.
They're going big on expansion, trying to go from 1,400 stores to over 1,800.
That's a lot of stores.
I know, right?
And it's not just about, adding stores. They also want to grow their loyalty program.
Oh, yeah, the points and discounts?
Yeah, exactly. They want to hit 50 million members by 2028.
That's a big jump from where they are now.
It is. It's currently at 43.9 million.
Oh, wow.
So they're really trying to, build that relationship with their customers.
Yeah, loyalty programs are smart. I love a good discount.
Everyone does. And Ulta's program is already one of the best out there, honestly.
So they're expanding stores, getting more loyal customers. What about their financial goals? What are they aiming for?
They've got some pretty ambitious targets, actually.
Right.
They want revenue growth between 4% and 6%.
Right.
And low double-digit growth in something called EPS.
EPS. Can you explain that? I'm not exactly a finance whiz.
Sure. EPS, it stands for earnings per share.
Okay.
It basically tells you how profitable a company is.
Gotcha.
So if they're talking about, double-digit EPS growth, that means their profits are going up a lot.
So even with all these challenges, they're still aiming for big growth, huh?
Yeah, they are. And the article, it does mention some of their strengths that could help them do it.
Like what?
Well, first off, they've got that huge beauty superstore format, right? They've got a ton of products and services.
Yeah, it's like you can get lost in there.
And then they have those salons inside.
Oh, right.
Which makes it more of an experience, not just shopping.
Right.
And of course, you've got the loyalty program, which we talked about.
Uh-huh. And what about that partnership they have with Target? That seems pretty smart.
It is. It is. That gives them access to a whole new group of customers.
Yeah, because people who go to Target all the time might not go to Ulta.
Exactly. It's a win-win for both of them, really.
How so?
Well, Target gets to offer more beauty stuff, and Ulta gets to reach more people.
Okay, so it's like they're meeting the customer where they already are.
Yeah, which is super important in retail.
So Ulta, they're facing some headwinds, but they've got a plan and some big strengths going for them.
Mm-hmm.
What's the Motley Fool's final verdict, though? What do they think will happen?
They seem cautiously optimistic, I'd say.
Good.
They get that Ulta has challenges, but they think they can bounce back. What's really interesting is they say that even though Buffett sold, other investors shouldn't necessarily do the same. So they're saying, don't freak out just because Buffett did. Basically, yeah. But it's clear that Ulta's at like a crossroads, you know? What they do next is really important.
It is. It is. And that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating, right? It brings up a bigger question.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait for the next part of our deep dive to hear that question.
So it makes you think, like, is this whole Ulta and Buffett thing, is it a sign of, like, something bigger changing in the beauty industry?
Right. Like, is it specific to Ulta, or is this, like, a trend across the whole sector?
It's a good question, for sure.
It's like Buffett's move. It's this giant question mark hanging over the whole industry.
It does make you wonder.
Like, is he seeing something that the rest of us are missing,
It really highlights how, like, the beauty landscape is always changing.
Yeah.
Even if this was just, like, a Buffett thing, specific to his portfolio, Ulta is dealing with challenges that a lot of companies in beauty are facing right now.
It's true. The article even mentions how much competition Ulta's up against these days.
Oh, yeah. It's intense. I think I read somewhere that, like, over 1,000 new points of sale popped up in the beauty world.
Wow.
In the last 3 years.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. And it's coming from everywhere.
It is. It is. You've got all these new brands coming in.
Right.
The established companies, they're expanding. And then you've got online retailers, social media influencers, selling directly to people.
So it's not just about having a good product anymore.
No, not at all.
Companies like Ulta, they have to figure out how to, like, stand out in this crazy crowd.
Exactly. And to Ulta's credit, they are trying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Their strategy, we talked about it earlier, is about expanding those physical stores and really pushing their loyalty program.
Okay.
Trying to create an experience, a sense of community that goes beyond just buying stuff.
Right, because you can buy lipstick anywhere these days.
You can.
But going to a store where you can try things out, get advice, maybe even get a treatment at their salon.
Yeah.
That's different.
That's an experience, yeah.
And their partnership with Target.
Oh, yeah, that's smart.
It lets them reach people who might not normally go to Ulta.
Right, people who are just doing their regular Target shopping.
Exactly.
It's all about meeting the customer where they are.
That's key, yeah. So they're expanding, building loyalty, partnering strategically. Sounds like they're doing all the right things. Do you think it'll be enough?
It's tough to say, honestly. The beauty industry, it changes so fast.
It does.
Trends come and go. Consumer preferences they can be fickle.
Yeah.
Ulta's in a good spot, but they have to stay, like, really agile and innovative.
So it's a high-stakes game.
Oh, for sure.
Ulta's making their moves, the competition is responding, and it's the customers who'll decide who wins.
Absolutely. And maybe somewhere, Warren Buffett is watching, too.
Oh, you think so?
Maybe. Analyzing everything, waiting to see how it all plays out.
It's possible, right? Like, maybe he'll surprise us all and buy back in if he sees Ulta doing well.
It could happen. Or maybe he'll see an opportunity with a different beauty company.
Right. The market is full of surprises.
That's what keeps it interesting.
It definitely does. This whole deep dive into Ulta and Buffett, it's really given us a lot to think about.
It has. Not just about Ulta, but about the big trends changing the whole beauty world.
Exactly. It shows that even the most successful companies, they have their ups and downs.
That's true.
And that adapting is key, especially in an industry that's always in motion.
For sure.
And, it also shows that even legendary investors like Buffett, they don't always get it right, or at least not in ways we expect.
That's true.
Sometimes they make moves that, like, make you scratch your head.
Yeah, and wonder, what are they seeing that we're not?
Exactly. But that's what makes it so interesting,
Yeah.
It makes us think critically, question things, really try to understand what's going on.
Well said. So what does all this mean for our listeners,
Yeah, that's the question. How can they take these insights and apply them to their own lives?
Right. Like we've been talking about Ulta and beauty. But how can you connect it to your own world? Whether you're an investor, a beauty enthusiast, or just someone who's curious about business.
That's what we're going to explore in the final part of our deep dive.
Yes, we'll connect the dots, look at the bigger picture.
So stay with us. Okay, so we're back for the last part of our Ulta Beauty deep dive.
It's been a good one.
It has been. We've covered like everything. Their challenges, those big plans they have, even Warren Buffett's stock moves. But now let's make it real. What does this all mean for our listeners?
That's the best part, It's not just about understanding one company.
Yeah.
It's about taking those lessons and seeing how they connect to our own lives.
Exactly. We've been talking Ulta, the beauty industry.
Right.
But there are bigger takeaways here, things that apply to all sorts of businesses.
Oh, absolutely. And even to our own decisions.
Yeah, for sure. What's like the biggest lesson you've gotten from all this?
I'd say it's that even in industries we think we know, there's always more to learn. Like beauty, it's easy to think it's all about, trends and new products. But with Ulta, we see there's this whole other level. Strategy, finance, all these market forces at work.
Like behind the scenes stuff?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, looking under the hood of a car.
Ooh, good analogy.
You might be impressed by how it looks.
Right.
But the real story is in the engine, all those parts working together.
So how can our listeners, even if they're not running a giant company, how can they apply that look under the hood idea?
It starts with being curious. Don't just accept things at face value,
Okay.
Ask questions, look at things from different angles, be open to being surprised.
I'll say like a real world example. How can people do that?
Okay, think about your own beauty routine.
Right.
Maybe you've always used the same product.
Just out of habit, yeah.
But now you can ask yourself, why those products?
Yeah.
What's in them? Where are they made?
Good question.
Maybe there are brands out there that fit your values better.
I like that. It's like we're taking this deep dive approach and using it for everyday choices.
Exactly. Being a more conscious consumer,
Yeah.
More informed, more engaged with the world around you.
And that can lead to those like aha moments.
Oh, for sure.
Where you suddenly see connections you didn't before.
Absolutely. That's what makes learning fun. Right?
It is. It is. So it's not just about beauty products, really.
Right. Not at all.
It's about how we approach everything. Whether you're reading news, checking stocks, even scrolling social media.
Yeah.
Train yourself to look beyond the surface.
And ask those why questions.
Why is this happening? What's the real story here?
Exactly. Why is that company doing so well? Why is this trend so popular? What's driving it all?
So to sum it all up, the big lesson from our Ulta Deep Dive is this.
What is it?
Stay curious, keep asking questions, don't be afraid to challenge what you think you know.
Well said. Well said. And who knows, maybe one of our listeners will be the next big thing,
Ooh, I like that.
The next beauty disruptor, the next Warren Buffett, anything is possible.
Now that's inspiring. Well, thanks everyone for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
It's been a fascinating look at Ulta Beauty and the ever-changing world of business and investing.
It has.
We'll see you all next time. Until then, keep those brains engaged.
And those questions coming.
Absolutely.